You're listening to Your Purpose and Business podcast, where we connect you to possibilities. I'm your host, Raquel Walters, a two-time best-selling author, millennial speaker, corporate trainer, advocate, and clinical social worker at heart. Your Purpose and Business podcast will connect you with everyday successful people who will share their impactful stories, insights, challenges, failures, and triumphs on how they're navigating the working world, whether by climbing the 9-to-5 corporate ladder or starting, growing, and scaling their business. So grab your pen and notebook because you'll want to implement the nuggets and tools, strategies shared in every episode. Class is in session. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Your Purpose and Business podcast. I am here with Mrs. Dominique Clark. I'm so excited for this interview, guys, so let me jump right into it. So, more about Dominique. Dominique Clark is a multi-talented relationship expert, author, media personality, and host with years of experience empowering influencers and professionals across the country in international dating and building healthy relationships. Known for her signature self-worth first approach in matching and coaching her clients, Dominique has quickly become the go-to relationship expert nationwide. She has been seen on the CW, Sheen magazine, Gossip, and the Huffington Post, to name a few, and has contributed her expertise to TV programs on networks such as WeTV. After the release of her best-selling book, She's Valuable, But Does She Know It? And leading talks across the country, Dominique gained notoriety as a public speaker and must-have keynote for women audiences. Dominique has worked on camera and hosted celebrity red carpets and interviews for outlets such as TV One, the BET Awards, the American Black Film Festival, and Essence Musical Festival, Her career in media took off when she became the #1 Friday night radio host at the Sensation Station Network on her own show, No Strings Attached. Dominique resides in Charlotte, North Carolina, with her two beautiful girls and husband, who's been her partner in her life since the age of 16. Wow, Dominique, it's such an honor and a pleasure to have you on our podcast today. And I just want to say thank you for joining in. And wow, what an impressive bio. I mean, you've done a lot.
I need to shorten it. I'm like, is it still more?
Oh my goodness. It's very impressive, very inspirational. So tell us a little bit, Dominic, you're welcome. Tell us a little bit of, how did you get started? I mean, if you want to, bring us all the way back to maybe as a little girl, what were your aspirations? What did you hope your life would be like when you grew up?
Yeah, well, if we're going to take it back to when I was a little girl, when I was a girl, I told my mom I wanted to be a kid's doctor. I wanted to be a pediatrician. I wanted to help kids that were not well. I felt like I had, not that I had the best life, but I had a healthy life. I was able to run and jump and do things, that I witnessed other kids unable to do. And so I wanted to do something about that. And so at the age of 6, my mom had me write it down on a note on the refrigerator so that I wouldn't lose sight of it. Dominique's going to be a pediatrician. And so from there, everything that she did really supported that goal. So I went to a high school, which was a pre-med high school. So I took medical courses. I did rotations at hospitals like Duke and UNC Chapel Hill because I lived in that city at the time. So I was well-versed in, what a career in medicine would be like. I went on to study biology in college. And it was when I was a freshman in college that I realized, I don't know if I want to do medicine anymore. Right? So I told my mom I was going to change my major. I was like, I'm changing my major. I no longer want to be a doctor. This is not it. And so she asked me, well, what's your plan B? What are you going to study? And I said, well, I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. So she's like, you're going to be the first doctor in this family. You have no plan B. So you're going to graduate with this biology degree until you can come to me with something better than that. So, you listen to your mom.
Mom. Yeah, right.
So I finished, I got my BS in biology, but I knew there was something tugging at me my whole, college career, where I knew that there was something different that I felt like God was calling me to. I just hadn't had an opportunity or had that moment of self-rediscovery to put my finger on it yet. And so then I got pregnant. And well, let me go back. I got married to my high school sweetheart. I was working at Duke in their research in their urogynecology department. And we were pregnant. My husband and I were pregnant with our first daughter. And I said to myself, and at this time I was applying to PA school. I decided I didn't want to be a doctor. I was going to be a physician
assistant. Yeah, right.
Yes. I applied and I actually got accepted to a PA school. And so it was at that time, though, I was pregnant with my daughter, and I said, how in the world am I going to birth this girl and encourage her to be all that God has created her to be, to live her purpose, and I'm not doing it? And, I don't know, if there are moms that'll be tuned into this, but having kids really forces you to reflect. It makes you want to really figure out, who am I? Am I living the life that I want to live? Am I going to be the right leader for this person that I'm bringing into this world? Am I going to be the best example? And so it was during that time that I said, something has got to give. So I'm working at my desk, and I'm surrounded by these fellows, PhDs, doctors, all these amazing, incredibly academically, successful people who invested the majority of their lives in developing a career in medicine. And they admired my relationship with my husband. We've been together since 16. And they're like, Dominique, I want what you have, but I have no idea how to go out there and get it. Socially, they were awkward. They didn't know how to connect with people on that level. So I started matching them. I started creating online dating profiles for them. And one thing kind of led to another, and it was working. And they were referring their colleagues to me. And I had a conversation with my boss, and she's like, look, Dominique, this stuff that you're doing for these other people, and this is around the time that the Millionaire Matchmaker was like on TV and stuff,
right?
You should look into it. And so I did. I looked into it. I got certified as a matchmaker and relationship coach. I went on to get my MBA, and I left my job, my good paying job at Duke University with good benefits, to start my own business as a certified matchmaker and relationship coach.
Wow.
And as I was doing that, my mom was telling me, like, you know what, Dominique, as I'm seeing you in action, I realize you're bigger than your desk, and the talents and the skills and the calling that you have in your life far exceeds the four walls that you found yourself in. And so that, and paired with the encouragement that I got and support from my husband, really helped me go into entrepreneurship full force. Wow. And I did. 2 years after that, I decided I wanted to write a book, that I had a message I wanted to share. She's valuable, but does she know it? My book publisher said, Dominique, you have a great message. You should be on the radio. And so she happened to be a radio host at a station herself. And she talked to the owner of the station. They had a conversation with me, and they too thought that I would have a great show. Had a great radio show. It was in Atlanta, top 8 market for radio. And I created my own content. We talked about relationships, entertainment, news, pop culture. I secured my own talent. Every week I had 3 or 4 celebrities or major influencers on my radio show. And it became the #1 radio show on that network. And then from there, media outlets were reaching out to me like, hey, you are an outlet on your own. You have your own show. Can you create content for me? Can you cover this carpet for me? Can you interview my artist or my talent? Publicists were reaching out to me. And I was like, whoa, I don't really do that stuff. And they're like, well, you do it on your radio show. Like, you should do it. One thing led to another. And I'll cut the story short. I ended up becoming an entertainment journalist and content creator, and on-camera host at, award shows and events. And I'm balancing now the two between the relationship stuff, coaching my clients, and, well, here's the real thing, like I like to say. I'm creating love stories, but I'm also telling the stories of celebrities and influencers through the media, and digital content that I do.
Yeah,
so now that's it.
It doesn't connect, because I'm sitting here listening to you in awe. I'm like, oh my gosh, like your whole story changed like 360 or 180, from wanting to become a pediatrician and then finding your gift, so to speak, by working at the university, and naturally your ability to just peer
people there out of a need. There was a need there, and you had the skills, the capabilities, and you went full force. You made connections, love connections, and you see how, through your story, you weaved in the journey that brought you on by getting your own radio show, attracting, other radio personalities or media that became interested in what you were offering. And that's amazing, writing a book, all of that. So I think my next question is like, a listener would be listening and say, oh, wow, that's inspirational. That's awesome. But were there any challenges along the way? Were there any self-doubts? Like, if you could think back and think to maybe one example that you probably could share, what was that process like in journeying through, okay, now I've spoken to my family, I've got my blessing from my husband, from my parents, and making that transition, was that concerning for you? Were you doubtful, or you just kind of like jumped in?
No, it was absolutely concerning. I was bringing in a child and leaving my benefits and job that was going to support this child. I was bringing a child into the world, and I was stepping away from the one thing that I knew for sure would help create a decent life for her. There was so much uncertainty along the way, but let me tell you something. I serve an amazing God, and I trust him, and I have faith in him. And there was something in me that just, especially as women, we have an intuitive voice on the inside of us that doesn't lie, that we can't deny. And when you follow that and when you're obedient, he'll order your step. It's not easy. It's going to be challenging. You're going to worry. You're going to doubt. But if you literally rely on the word that he's provided and the gift that he's giving you, you'll be okay. You have to have people in your corner. There was a moment where, well, first, let me say this. When I first told my mom I was going to leave my job, become a relationship expert and matchmaker, that conversation didn't go over so well, and I'll never forget it. I was in the P.F. Chang's parking lot. We went to P.F. Chang's after church, and I decided this was going to be the moment I shared with her, even though I was a married adult. There's still something, you still want to make your parents proud. You don't want to disappoint them. So there was a fear that I had of sharing this information with my mom, and I told her, and I was bawling, just couldn't stop crying. Like, Mom, this is what I'm doing. I'm not going to do what you want me to do. I'm an individual. I believe God has a calling on my life. I'm not 100% sure what it is, but I have enough courage and faith to go after that, because I don't want to live a life of regret. I don't want to live a life of disappointment, and I definitely don't want to be out of the will of God, right? And so that was that conversation. She did not take that well. But here was the turning point for her. I had the biggest speaking engagement of my career. I had gotten paid $1,500 to speak for 45 minutes. That was the first big check I ever got for speaking. And I was speaking about being what it meant to be a total woman. And I talked about how a woman who was complete and total was one who had control of her thoughts, right? Really had control over her mind and thoughts, and the things that she allowed to manifest there, because those things will become your reality. So I had this conversation. It was at North Carolina Central University. I was their keynote for their for women's empowerment event that they had. And my mom and husband and kids my first daughter was in the audience. I was pregnant with my second. And 350 people, 400 people maybe in the audience. And I give my speech. At the end of my speech, there's a line of girls waiting to talk to me. And it blew my mind.
Yeah.
But I obviously had said something that resonated with them. They could identify with my story, whatever. The last person at the end of that line was my mother.
Wow.
She said, "This is what you're supposed to be doing. This is what you belong. And I'm sorry for trying to get you to do anything other than what you're doing right now. This is it." And I just boohooed, because that is the moment, right? Where you look for confirmation. Am I doing the right thing? Am I on the right path? And hearing that from my mom, and seeing that sincerity on her face made me feel like, wow, I'm onto something. I'm in my purpose. I'm moving in the right direction. And so, of course, along the way, that was 7 years ago. The one thing that's inevitable about life is change and challenge. Right. You're going to constantly, but you have to know who you are. You got to know who you are in God. And you have to have a vision of where you're going, so that when things get tough, you keep your eye on the prize. You know that you have something great that you're looking for, that you're working towards. You know that God has something at the end of this tunnel that you have to get to. And if you just stay the course, the reward will be so much greater. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I love it. And the mere fact that, speaking at this, to these young, children, it gave you validation in terms of the response afterwards, and that your mom was there and was prideful, I think that's the word, or humble enough to say, you know what, Dominique, I'm sorry, because she saw you in your light, shining it on the others. And so I mean, that must have boosted your confidence at 1,000%, and so tell me, what would you say to someone that a young person, whether it's that they are going out of college, trying to make it, navigate the working world, or trying to become an entrepreneur? Because a lot of millennials these days, the research shows that they're not staying in 9-to-5 jobs, and if they do have their 9-to-5, it's just meeting their means of paying their bills. However, there's this entrepreneurial spirit or mindset for a lot of the younger generation and millennials. And I'm a millennial, so I also can speak to that. What would you say as far as, steps or strategies for someone to use who want to transition full-time, and how it is that they build up that sort of confidence and self-worth to say, you know what, let me go out and try things, and how do I get in the right rooms, get in the right environment, get the right support team around me to help me to achieve that goal that I have? That makes sense? That question makes sense?
Well, you almost hit what I was going to say, and that is explore. Do everything you can do, because one of the things that almost got me off track, or kept me off track, so to say, was the fact that I didn't know what other gifts and talents and interests that I had, other things that I was passionate about. And it's because I didn't honor those other things. I didn't even give them a chance to surface, because I never spent time doing things to get to know myself, traveling and exploring life and doing different things, putting myself in different environments outside of just medicine, really tapping into the things that lit me on fire. When I do what I'm doing now, I light up. I love it. I enjoy it. I'm passionate about it. And I feel so blessed to have the opportunity to do it, right? And so the first thing is explore, try different things, travel, really get in tune with who you are, what you like, what your interests are, what you're great at, what your weaknesses are, what you'll do for free. You know what I mean? And it's not even always just about careers, just in general in life. Just explore you, enjoy yourself. And it's in those moments of exploration that something will pop up and you're like, wow, I didn't realize this about myself. Oh, I really enjoy doing this thing. And oh, wow, I didn't realize I was gifted in this area. I didn't know I could be a great speaker. Until I was in position,
right.
And I'm like, wow, okay, girl, you might be all right. Right. I didn't know I was great with connecting with people, and I could improve the quality of someone's life outside of medicine, right? Until I used what I already had, which was a healthy and incredible relationship, not perfect, but an amazing relationship with a man that I had built since 16. And there was value, there was wisdom there, even though that I was young, that I could share to help improve someone else's ability to connect with someone else, and not just with someone else, but with themselves, recognizing and identifying their worth, and being able to effectively and fearlessly communicate that, not just to the opposite sex so they can get what they desire and deserve out of love, but to the world in general. Right? So they can walk with a posture of worthiness and approach life and love from a position and posture of worthiness. So explore, get to know yourself, do stuff, take the limits off, and don't live life in a box. Have an idea of who you are, what you want to do, but don't limit yourself to that. We are multifaceted human beings. God did not just give us one gift. Right. No, there's so many things. So I would say explore yourself to the fullest, and then honor what it is you find, and follow that courageously. Right.
I love that those advice that you've given, because especially for millennials, because as you know, I'm a millennial expert, so to speak. And a lot of times, the statistics and the research show that, the generation that we, or the times we're living in, a lot of us have college degrees. And so we have that one track mindset, or that's from your parents, or the media, whatever, that okay, you should just pick a degree and you work in that job and you retire. And what we're finding is that, as you say, we are multifaceted, so there's so many different interests. And so a lot of times it conflicts with, okay, should I go down this pathway, or should I explore other things, or do I have enough time, or am I making a mistake? And I think that for anyone that's listening to that, because I know that I too battled with that. Okay, I graduated from college, I'm working in this profession, and if I do anything outside of that, it's just going to be confusing, and so I should just choose one. But what I've found is that it's okay to explore and your creative side, and just to see what lights you up, and maybe there's some way you can infuse or intertwine all of these things together to make your life a little bit more colorful. I use that word a lot. And so I think you answered that perfectly, with regard to that question. But my follow-up question to that, though, Dominique, is that we're living in a world now where, yes, you want validation from outside, but a lot of us struggle with that internal self-validation. You know what I mean? Where, we're seeking social media to approve, or to like whatever it is that we're putting out there, or we're looking to a relationship, whether that be intimate or non-intimate. And so I know that you're a relationship expert, and this is right up your alley. What would you say to females or males? It doesn't matter the gender. When it comes on to developing that sort of self-love and self-respect and self-acceptance and self-worth, what advice would you give somebody who is constantly seeking that validation from outside, and how it is that they can start developing that for themselves, to know that they're good enough, and it doesn't matter what the outside world is thinking, it matters what they feel comfortable doing and sharing with themselves, and then ultimately, of course, with the world?
Yeah, so the first step out of all of that is awareness. You've got to be aware, right? And I think that luckily for the millennials, we are probably a lot more aware of some of the things that are happening on the inside of us, and are actually acknowledging those things. Now, whether we are healing them or working towards them, we can at least say, you know what, this is an issue, or like, I don't really care that I don't really like the fact that I'm having these negative conversations with myself, or I am having negative conversations with myself, or I am finding myself sometimes comparing myself to this other influencer or person on social media who's posting all this content and getting all these likes and are converting them to maybe clients or, customers or whatever. Here's the thing in all of that. None of that matters. At the end of the day, you have to focus on being authentic and true to who you are. And I'm saying this not because, I'm saying it because this is something I had to work on myself. Just last week, I posted something. I was like, dang, it didn't really get that much engagement, and I had to snap myself out of it. And I had to say, okay, was what I posted authentic and true to me? Yes. Was what I posted something that I felt was important for whomever, whether it's 1, 5, or 100 people to see? Yes. Right? Does it matter if this converts to a client or not?
Right.
For me,
right.
No. My goal is to do what it is I feel like God has called me to do. If it attracts 5 people, if it attracts 100 people, I can live and be okay with myself knowing that I'm in alignment. Now, obviously, because we serve an amazing God, He's not going to let you go, without favor. So if you're obedient and you're doing, like, my whole story is that of obedience, going from one step to the other, going from a sure path of success from, PA school or, studying biology, going to PA school, getting a great job, to the uncertainty of, hey, I think I'm going to be a matchmaker and relationship coach, but I was obedient. Wasn't an expert at first. I had to learn, I had to develop a clientele. I had to market, right? I took the necessary steps, right? and I did what I was supposed to do. And because I was obedient and was consistent and was putting out good content that people felt like they could identify and was shifting the way that they were thinking about dating and relationships and themselves, then I created a bigger crowd. I created more interest. I created, okay, I like what she's posting. I like what she's saying. I like that I heard her speak on this topic at said conference. I want to work even closer to her. I want to get a little bit closer to her. I want more, right? Mm-hmm. Going into media. I had no idea. I've never been a radio host. I never was on a red carpet, but it was just taking the next step and being obedient, and then being confident in the fact that, for instance, I'll use this for an example.
Yeah.
Being confident that you're supposed to be in the room. You're supposed to be where you are.
Yeah.
So I got an invitation to cover the 50th NAACP Image Awards in California. I was in a room and on the in the press room, and on the row was Ebony, Essence, Cosmopolitan, Jet, Dominique Clark.
Wow. Yes.
I'm like, I am not supposed to be in this room. And then the girl sitting next to me, who I just met earlier that day, said, absolutely, you were supposed to be in this room. If you weren't supposed to be in this room, if you couldn't sit beside these amazing, incredibly major media outlets, then you wouldn't be here.
Exactly.
Right? So it's recognizing that you have what it takes and you're already ready. And most importantly, you're probably already doing what it is you really want to do at a larger scale. People just haven't seen you yet.
Right.
You just have to be consistent and be confident in what it is you feel like you are providing. It's that of service. What service you're providing to solve a problem, like you mentioned before. Confident in your ability to do that, and just keep going, recognizing that it's a process that you have to embrace. Nothing is going to happen overnight. So today you might get 5 likes, but 3 months from now, it might be 100 likes. It may be, and it's not even the quantity of likes and engagement, it's the quality. Right. It's who's looking at it, right? It's who is engaging with your content that has the ability to take your thing to the next level or offer you an opportunity that no one else could have, right? It's who's looking at your content and not necessarily how many. And so I think, long story short, it's about awareness, recognizing where the challenges are, where you can level up in your relationship with self and what you have to offer the world. And then being confident about that thing and wrapping it in such a way where you are adding true value and true service to the audience that you feel like you speak to, right? And then being consistent with that message and showing up without doubt every time and servicing those people in the way that no one else can, the way that you do, right? And so that's what I'll say. Long story short.
No, I love it, because like you hit every single nugget there, because as you know, we live in this sort of microwave society where everyone just wants success overnight and not realizing that there's processes to this. There's, it's hard work. Sometimes it takes a year. Sometimes people, become successful. It appears overnight, but a lot of times people don't see the years of preparation. And of course, you have the outlier stories where somebody, actually becomes popular overnight, literally. So, I agree with everything that you say, being aware, being consistent, knowing your worth, and just knowing that you deserve a seat at the table, any table, you're worthy of it. And so
you deserve a seat at the table, but there's a seat waiting for you.
I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
There's a seat already waiting for you. It's already there. And Jesus is my best friend, so I got to incorporate him.
Of course. Mine too, yes.
We already know the end of the story.
Yes.
It's already there. So it's not like we have to fight for it. We just have to be consistent to get there and show God and everybody else that, hey, I'm going to put in the work. I'm going to do what it takes to achieve that. I know that it's already there because, see, we're on our own timeline. Right. We operate off our own timeline and not his. He's already got it mapped out. The plan is already
That's the problem there. Yes, it says, I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. But our timetable, as you said, it's true. It's like we're rushing the clock.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Your seat is already there.
Yes. No, I plus that 100%. I plus that 100%. So tell us a little bit more, Dominique, about in-depth your courses surrounding worthiness and how it is that you help your clients that come to you? And I know that it's both male and female. It doesn't matter the gender that comes to you for assistance. Tell us a little bit about your courses. If you have anything coming up soon, how can people get access to you pretty much?
Yeah, so as a relationship coach, I offer different services and courses. I like to present things for people to access me at different levels, no matter where you are in life, no matter your budget, right? And so you could work with me one-on-one, whether it is specific things like how to salvage a bad date, or how to have meet great people anywhere, like one-on-one, mini sessions like that. Or it could be a program, right? So I have a date worthy program. I have my reboot worthy course, and then later this year I'll be doing reboot worthy live, where it'll be an in-person experience where you could have that like in-person experience with me. It's a body, soul, mind experience, and I'm so excited. We'll be in an amazing Airbnb. I'm not going to release the location yet, but there might be some sand and a nice breeze. Yeah. and it will allow you to get in touch with who you are, so that by the time you leave there, you've rediscovered who you are, you've tapped in, you've developed the audacity and courage to show up in the world unapologetically as that woman, as that man, and you're able to realize the abundance and tap into the abundance of life and love that exists for you. It's there. No one else is the exception to the rule. It's everybody has the right to the love and life that they desire, right?
Yes.
And so I'm really excited about that in-person experience. I offer image consulting, not just from an external thing, but inside as well. Because I always tell people to look at dating as like entrepreneurship. You are your brand. And you have a brand message, and your brand message is what's responsible for you attracting the right type of person, the right type of audience that you want, right? And so it's not just about how you show up physically, but it's also how you show up internally, right? And so I have image, and I work with amazing vendors across the country. So I've partnered with Nordstrom in different cities, and they work with some of my clients and helping them develop an amazing wardrobe, a dating wardrobe. Because the majority of us, we have corporate outfits, we have church outfits. If someone asks you out on a date today, you'd be like, "Oh my God."
That's a point right there. Yes.
So you need some amazing go-to pieces that not just look good, but help you feel good about yourself and realize the beauty that's within. And so, yeah, I offer a variety of stuff. I have an amazing challenge that I'm doing again that's coming up because it was so great that I'm going to roll it out again. It's the Dating Worthy Challenge. It's a 5-day challenge to help you rightfully claim love and approach dating from a place of worthiness, because you are. And to help you realize that you are enough, you matter, and you're valuable. It's a 5-day challenge.
When is that rolling out? Do you have the dates? Do you have the dates when it's rolling out?
Yes, March 13th is a Friday.
Awesome. Okay.
Yep, March 13th. We'll go through 5 days. It'll end with a live chat with me. You'll get to join an amazing private Facebook group, the Dating Worthy Facebook group, with amazing women from all over the country. So it's a great support system. It's a shared endeavor, because you'll hear a lot of "girl, me too," and I experienced that. And so you're not only getting empowerment and encouragement and support from me, but also from the other women that are a part of the group. So, so I'm coaching, offer a variety of coaching models. I have a course, the Reboot Worthy course. I have a live event coming up later this year, Reboot Worthy Live, and then the Dating Worthy Challenge that will start on March 13th.
No,
it's free. The challenge is free.
That's awesome. I'm gonna be joining that challenge. I'm just gonna put it out there now, because
go to my website, because the waiting list is up there. So go to my website. You can join the waiting list for the challenge. So once it gets started, you'll get notified. You'll be ready. And DominiqueClark.com.
Yes, DominiqueClark.com, and it will also be available in the show notes as well. And so, Dominique, I wanted to ask you this. I ask every guest: is there some sort of ritual, routine, mantra, saying, whatever it is that you use to kind of get you through? And it could be a series of things, but just one if you wanted to share. Something that keeps you grounded and keeps you motivated, especially when you're experiencing low days.
Yeah. the major thing, and I have it written on my mirror, is I'm enough. Because I think that in life, whether it's in love, whether it's in starting a business, whether it is being a parent, whatever it is, we struggle with knowing that we're enough and that we're worthy of that thing. And sometimes, like I just got offered an incredible opportunity to create digital content and do some outreach for the county that I live in.
Nice, congrats.
And so at first I'm like, for the county? I don't know if I can do that. And then I look in the mirror and I'm like, I can do that.
Far enough, of course.
I am worthy of doing that. I'm already doing that. Remember, like I said, you're already doing. And so, yeah, the biggest thing is I am enough. I am worthy, And if you weren't, you wouldn't be breathing. You wouldn't be here. You wouldn't have purpose, So that's the first thing. The other thing is, in him do I live, breathe, and have my being. I submit to a higher power. There is someone who is in control of my life. I don't have to carry the load. I don't have to do this alone. There's someone who already has it figured out. And so to me, that helps me to release, to let go and let God, because it's in him that I am who I am. You know what I mean? And he's got my steps ordered. And so when I allow myself to submit to that and allow God to be God, and realize that I have no control. I'm not in control of my journey. If I was, I would not be doing what I am right now, honestly, because none of it made sense to me initially. But God kept putting things in front of me that I couldn't deny was him, opportunities that I would have never had if he wasn't all up in the midst, working things out on my behalf. And so that to me is the next biggest thing. Surrendering to God and allowing him to do and be who he is, and stepping back,
Right.
And allowing him to have his way.
Allowing and trusting. Wow. I mean, your story, Dominique, is beautiful, and I see the journey and the path that God has taken you on. And I think that the underlying theme that I keep hearing is just faith and just trusting, and just having the confidence to step in, knowing that things are for you. There is a table there. You're worthy to be there. And as long as you trust and have faith and just to follow that obedience you mentioned earlier. And I think it's a reminder for not only me, but I know for many people that's going to be listening, that just stay grounded, rely on your faith, trust yourself, and just keep it moving, keep in action,
Being action. You just hit the key on the head right there, because you're never going to get there if you stop. You can have the doubt. My mom always says you got 24 hours. After that 24 hours, get it out of your system and keep this thing pushing.
Nice.
Right? Because if you stop, so does the promise. Right. It's going to take you that much longer to get there. So even though you may not know what the next step is, even though you don't know when it's going to manifest, even though you don't know who you could put on your team or the resources, have access to the resources immediately, just keep going. And as you are consistent, they will show up. The people will show up. The opportunities will show up, and God will blow your mind. And I'm a living testimony to that. I would have never thought I would be doing these things 8 years ago. You could have never told me that. But because I was obedient, things just aligned and fell in place. One thing after another. To the outside person was like, oh, Dominique, are you sure you want to do that? Girl, you got 2 kids and a husband, bills, this doesn't really make sense. But when you're in the will of God, when you're following the call that he has on your life, it's not supposed to make sense to the average person who is not in tune with what the vision that he has for you. It's not supposed to, right?
Yes.
So, stay grounded. And you don't even have to be religious to have hope, to have faith.
That's true.
To be determined, to have will and desire to get something done.
That's true. Amen to that. So Dominique, I want to thank you for being a part of this podcast today. And I just want to say that I'm very so proud of you. I know I've only known you for a year. I met you at a conference that we were on, the panelists together. And I have to say, even prior to meeting you, we spoke on the phone, and you're just a sweet and humble person. And there's a light that's on you that it just exudes to other people. I know I felt it, especially when I met you in person. And I just want want to say that continue doing God's work, continue chasing your goals and realizing them, and continue to share your message with the world. And with that being said, everyone definitely go out and sign up for her challenge, Your Worthy Challenge. Is that the name? Dating Worthy Challenge. I know that I will be partaking. And also check out her services or her consulting or mentorship at dominiqueclark.com. Is there any last thing that you would like to say to us?
Yeah, so if you're also looking for someone to MC or host your event, I love doing that. I love connecting with people, energizing people, motivating folks. And so that's also been something I've had the opportunity to do that I just love, whether it's a corporate event, a media event, or anything in between. I'm here for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, she's a great MC, guys. So get on that. So again, thank you for being a part of the Your Purpose and Business podcast. And I know there's many gems and lessons here that everybody will take away. So with that said, guys, as always, be good to yourself and catch you in the next episode. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening. If you've loved this episode, let's stay in touch. Head over to RaquelWalters.com and subscribe to my email list so that I can send you updates on new episodes, exclusive motivational nuggets, and insider knowledge that's only shared when you join our community. Please don't forget to subscribe to this podcast and leave a review, as I want to know your thoughts about every episode. Follow me on Instagram at Your Purpose and Business Podcast. And remember, your life is beautiful, and this is a part of your journey. So embrace it. Speak to you soon.